What does it feel like to risk your life for a child, only to hear two words that chill your soul? That's the question that haunts me, Maya, a 28-year-old maid in Chicago, as I recall the day I saved Ethan, a 5-year-old boy, from a fire that wasn't an accident. I was cleaning the Cartwright's mansion, a sprawling estate of polished marble and untouched furniture, when a scream shattered the quiet, followed by curls of black smoke. Ethan, the millionaire's son with golden hair, was alone, his mother gone, his father abroad. The fire, I'd later learn, was no mistake, and Ethan's whispered, "They knew," revealed a betrayal that turned my act of courage into a fight for justice. That moment, clutching him on the lawn as flames roared, changed my life, hinting at the battle ahead to protect a boy who'd become my heart. The scream pierced the air like glass shattering, not loud enough for neighbors yet deafening to me. I dropped the mop, its wet smack hitting the mansion's marble kitchen floor, water sloshing everywhere. My gloved hands shook as I turned toward the hallway, seeing black smoke drifting low along the ceiling like fog creeping under a door. "Ethan," I called, heart pounding. "Baby, where are you?" No answer. I tore off my apron, flung the cleaning cloth aside, and sprinted barefoot down the long hallway, portraits blurring past. The mansion was massive, its polished surfaces cold under my feet, but none of that mattered. The smoke thickened, the air growing hot, a faint crackle echoing from the study. By the time I reached the stairs, I saw it, orange flames licking the high ceilings, expensive drapes ablaze, heat blasting my face like an open oven. The smoke alarm was silent, chillingly wrong. I heard a sound, a small, choking cough, terrified from above. "Ethan!" I screamed, my voice raw. At the top of the stairs stood a 5-year-old boy, golden hair matted with soot, a smudge of ash streaking his cheek, clutching a brown teddy bear. He was frozen, eyes wide with fear, as flames spread upward, the stairs groaning. I didn't think. I ran up, feet burning on the hot wood, each step a stab of pain. Ethan whimpered, and I scooped him up, his tiny hands gripping my neck, trembling. "I got you, baby," I whispered, coughing, shielding his face with my shoulder. The hallway roared, flames everywhere, the back stairwell blocked. My eyes burned, lungs aching, but I turned, holding him tight, and ran for the nearest window on the second floor. The window was my only hope. I kicked the frame, once, twice, the third time cracking glass. Grabbing a metal lamp, I smashed it, shards flying outward. Ethan cried as smoke closed in, his teddy bear dropping. I snatched it, whispering, "I told you I got you." Climbing onto the sill, I hugged him close and jumped. The fall was short but brutal, my knees buckling on the grass, pain shooting through my ankle. I curled around him, shielding him as we tumbled. Behind us, the mansion belched fire, the roof popping, heat rippling across the driveway. Glass shattered, the porch collapsed, and finally the smoke alarms wailed, too late. I gasped, Ethan sobbing into my neck, neighbors screaming in the distance, a man dialing 911, a woman shouting, "There's a fire!" But Ethan's whisper stopped me cold. They knew I was inside. My additions deepened the terror. The kitchen's lemon cleaner scent, sharp as I dropped the mop, clung to my hands, grounding my panic. A neighbor's dog barked, unnoticed until now, amplifying the chaos. Ethan's teddy bear, singed at the edges, felt heavy in my grip, a symbol of his fear. My co-worker's warning about the Cartwright's odd silence that morning, shared over lunch, flashed back, hinting at trouble. These threads wove a tapestry of dread, as Ethan's words, "They knew," and the locked front door, untouched convertible, and silent alarms pointed to a chilling truth, setting the stage for a fight beyond the flames to protect a boy who trusted me with his life. The scream that sent me racing through the Cartwright's burning mansion still echoed in my ears as I held Ethan tight, his small body trembling against me on the lawn. The fire's roar, a deafening reminder of how close we'd come to death. I was Maya, a 28-year-old maid in Chicago, my days usually filled with scrubbing marble floors and dodging the cold indifference of Ethan's mother, Mrs. Cartwright. But that day, a fire, deliberate as I'd soon learn, had turned my routine into a desperate fight to save Ethan, a 5-year-old boy with golden hair who'd whispered, "They knew I was inside," chilling me to the bone. Breaking the window and jumping from the second floor was a blur of instinct, but the aftermath, with sirens wailing and neighbors gawking, was where the real battle began, as those two words hinted at a betrayal I couldn't yet grasp, pushing me to protect Ethan beyond the flames. The window was my only hope. I'd kicked the frame, once, twice, the third time cracking glass. Grabbing a metal lamp, its base heavy in my shaking hands, I smashed it, shards flying outward into the mansion's manicured lawn below. Ethan cried, his voice muffled by smoke, his teddy bear dropping to the floor, singed at the edges. I snatched it, whispering, "I told you I got you," my throat raw from coughing. The hallway behind us roared, flames licking the walls, the heat suffocating, my eyes burning as if scalded. Climbing onto the sill, I hugged him close, his small hands gripping my neck, and without a second thought, I jumped. The fall was short but brutal, my knees buckling as we hit the grass, pain shooting through my ankle like a knife. I curled around him protectively, shielding him as we tumbled, his sobs buried in my shoulder, the teddy bear clutched between us. Behind us, the mansion belched fire through the windows, the roof popping with a violent crack, a blast of heat rippling across the driveway. Glass shattered, the front porch collapsing in a groan of splintered wood, and finally, the smoke alarms wailed, their shrill cry too late to save anyone. I rolled over, gasping for breath, my lungs aching, the grass cool against my scorched skin. Ethan was sobbing, his face pressed into my neck, his tiny body shaking. I held him tighter, whispering, "I got you, baby," as neighbors' screams pierced the air. A woman shouted, "Oh my God, there's a fire!" A man fumbled with his phone, dialing 911, his voice frantic. But I barely heard them. My focus locked on Ethan's whispered words. They knew I was inside. My blood ran cold, my spine stiffening as I stared at the burning house, then at the shiny red convertible parked neatly in the driveway, untouched by flames. The implications hit like a wave. Mrs. Cartwright had left that morning without a word, her heels clicking on the marble as she drove off, leaving Ethan alone. Mr. Daniel Cartwright, his father, was in Europe for business, a fact she'd mentioned casually over breakfast, her voice flat. No other staff were in the house, just me, paid cash under the table, no contract, no record. The front door, I realized, had been locked from the outside, a detail I'd missed in my panic to find Ethan. The smoke alarms hadn't gone off until the fire was unstoppable, and the blaze had spread too fast, as if planned. Ethan's "they" echoed, more than just his mother. Someone else knew he was inside, vulnerable, asleep. My hands trembled as I held him, his teddy bear's singed fur rough under my fingers, my mind racing to piece together the puzzle of a fire too deliberate to be chance. Sirens grew louder, fire trucks weaving through the neighborhood, their lights flashing red across the lawn. Neighbors crowded closer, their murmurs a hum of shock and curiosity, phones raised to capture the blaze. A medic knelt beside us, her voice calm as she checked Ethan's pulse, but I barely registered her. My eyes fixed on the mansion's collapsing facade, its grandeur now a skeleton of ash. My ankle throbbed, the grass stained with blood from my cuts, but Ethan's safety was all that mattered. His words, "they knew," were a warning, a truth I couldn't ignore, hinting at a betrayal deeper than I could fathom, one that would demand I fight not just for his life, but for justice against those who'd left him to burn. My additions layered the panic. The kitchen's lemon cleaner scent clung to my hands as I ran, a sharp reminder of my unnoticed role. A coworker's earlier warning about Mrs. Cartwright's odd silence, shared over a hurried lunch, resurfaced, her "something's off," now ominous. Ethan's teddy bear, a gift from his absent father, felt like a lifeline, its weight grounding me as we fell. A neighbor's child, watching wide-eyed, whispered, "Is Ethan okay?" Her voice piercing the chaos, anchoring my resolve. These threads wove a tapestry of dread, amplifying Ethan's chilling words and the locked door's mystery, pushing me toward a fight to uncover the truth and protect a boy who'd trusted me with his life in a moment of terror. The fire's roar still echoed in my ears as I sat on the lawn, clutching Ethan, his small body trembling against me, his whispered words. They knew I was inside, freezing my heart in a way the flames never could. I was Maya, a 28-year-old maid in Chicago, my days usually spent scrubbing the Cartwrights' marble floors, unnoticed by Ethan's mother, Mrs. Cartwright, or his absent father, Daniel. But that day, a fire had turned my routine into a desperate sprint through smoke to save Ethan, a 5-year-old boy with golden hair, breaking a window and jumping from the second floor to escape. Now, as sirens wailed and neighbors gawked, those two words revealed a chilling truth. The fire wasn't an accident, and someone, more than just his mother, knew Ethan was inside, left to burn. The locked front door, silent alarms, and untouched convertible in the driveway sharpened my suspicions, pushing me to protect Ethan as the puzzle of betrayal began to take shape. Ethan's whisper came as we lay on the grass, his face buried in my neck, his singed teddy bear clutched tight. "They knew I was inside," he said again, his voice broken, tears streaking soot down his cheeks. I blinked, panting, my heart hammering, the words not belonging in a child's mouth. "What, baby?" I asked, my voice trembling. He stared at the burning mansion, flames licking through shattered windows, and repeated, "They knew." My spine stiffened, a chill cutting through the heat rippling from the fire. The sirens were louder now, fire trucks weaving through the neighborhood, their lights flashing red across the lawn. Neighbors crowded closer, their murmurs a hum of shock, phones raised to capture the blaze. A medic knelt beside us, her voice calm as she checked Ethan's pulse. But I barely registered her, my eyes darting from the boy to the house, then to the shiny red convertible parked neatly in the driveway, untouched by flames. The details clicked like puzzle pieces. Mrs. Cartwright had left that morning without a word, her heels clicking on the marble as she drove off, leaving Ethan alone. Mr. Daniel Cartwright was in Europe for business, a fact she'd mentioned casually over breakfast, her voice flat. No other staff were in the house, just me, paid cash under the table, no contract, no record. The front door, I realized, had been locked from the outside, a detail I'd missed in my panic to find Ethan. I'd entered through the service door, always left open for maids, but the main entrance's deadbolt was engaged, unusual for a house expecting visitors. The smoke alarms hadn't gone off until the fire was unstoppable, and the blaze had spread too fast, as if fueled by something deliberate. Ethan's "they" haunted me. Not just his mother, but someone else, complicit in leaving him to die. My hands trembled as I held him, his teddy bear's scorched fur rough under my fingers, my ankle throbbing from the jump, blood seeping into the grass. I scanned the crowd, neighbors whispering, a man dialing 911, a woman shouting, "Is the boy okay?" searching for anyone who looked too calm, too knowing. The convertible gleamed, its pristine paint a stark contrast to the mansion's collapse, the porch now a pile of splintered wood. Mrs. Cartwright's absence felt deliberate, her morning rush out the door replaying in my mind, her phone pressed to her ear, her glance at Ethan's closed bedroom door, her silence to me. Had she planned this, locking the door to trap him? And who was they? A lover? A partner? Someone tied to the Cartwrights' wealth? The thought twisted my gut, Ethan's small sobs grounding me as I whispered, "I've got you." Firefighters swarmed, hoses blasting water, the air thick with smoke and ash. A medic pressed an oxygen mask to Ethan's face, his eyes wide but trusting as he gripped my hand. I held him closer, my cuts stinging, the lemon cleaner scent from the kitchen still clinging to my hands, a reminder of my unnoticed role. My coworker's warning yesterday, Mrs. Cartwright's odd quiet, her "something's off" over lunch, flashed back, now a red flag. Ethan's teddy bear, a gift from his father, felt heavy, its singed edges a symbol of his vulnerability. A neighbor's child asked, "Is Ethan okay?" her voice piercing the chaos, and I nodded, but my mind raced. The locked door, silent alarms, and Ethan's words pointed to a betrayal I couldn't ignore, one that would demand I fight to uncover the truth and keep him safe from those who'd left him to burn. My additions layered the dread. The service door's rusty hinge, creaking as I entered that morning, now seemed a trap left open for me. A gardener's glance at Mrs. Cartwright's car as she left, his frown unnoticed then, loomed in my memory. Ethan's whispered "they" came with a shiver, his small body cold despite the fire's heat, amplifying his fear. A neighbor's phone call to Mrs. Cartwright, unanswered in the crowd, added to the puzzle, her absence glaring. These threads wove a growing suspicion, as Ethan's words and the fire's deliberate signs pushed me toward a battle to protect him, not just from flames but from a family's chilling intent to erase him. Ethan's whispered, "They knew I was inside," clung to me like smoke, a chilling revelation that turned the fire we'd escaped into something far darker. I was Maya, a 28-year-old maid in Chicago, my days once spent scrubbing the Cartwrights' mansion floors, unnoticed by Ethan's mother, Mrs. Cartwright, or his absent father, Daniel. That day, a scream had sent me racing through flames to save Ethan. a 5-year-old boy with golden hair, breaking a window and jumping from the second floor to protect him. Now, on the lawn with sirens wailing, his words pointed to a deliberate act: the locked front door, silent alarms, and untouched convertible hinting at betrayal. As firefighters battled the blaze, the investigation began to unravel a horrifying truth, confirming my suspicions that the fire was no accident, pushing me to shield Ethan from a danger that went beyond the flames. The air was thick with ash as I held Ethan, his small body trembling, his singed teddy bear clutched tight, his tears streaking soot down his cheeks. My ankle throbbed, blood seeping into the grass, but his words, they knew, kept me frozen, my heart hammering. Firefighters swarmed, hoses blasting water, the mansion's collapse a roar of splintered wood and shattering glass. Neighbors crowded, their murmurs a hum of shock, phones raised to capture the chaos. A medic pressed an oxygen mask to Ethan's face, his eyes trusting as he gripped my hand, but my mind raced. The front door, locked from the outside, the silent alarms, the fire's unnatural speed, details that screamed intent. Mrs. Cartwright's absence, her heels clicking as she left that morning, her glance at Ethan's room, now felt like a calculated exit. Who was they? Her lover, a business partner, someone tied to the Cartwrights' millions? Within an hour, investigators descended, their boots crunching on the driveway's gravel, faces grim under the smoke-filled sky. They traced the fire's origin to the study, finding signs of a deliberate setup: a gas leak from a pipe near a candle, its wick suspiciously short, as if timed to ignite. The front door's lock showed scratches from outside tampering, the deadbolt engaged in a way that trapped anyone inside. Smoke alarms were disconnected, wires snipped clean, a detail that sent a chill down my spine. The main security server's footage was wiped, but someone forgot the off-site backup, a detail the lead investigator, a woman with sharp eyes, mentioned as she took my statement. "You're lucky you got out," she said, her notepad scribbling. "This wasn't an accident." My stomach twisted, Ethan's words echoing, "They knew." The backup footage, reviewed later that day, revealed a chilling scene. Mrs. Cartwright exiting the house at 8:37 a.m., pausing to look back at Ethan's second-floor window, her face unreadable. She locked the front door, the click audible on the grainy tape, then spoke into her phone, muffled but clear. "He'll sleep through anything." The words, cold and deliberate, weren't neglect. They were intent. I sat in a police trailer, the air stale with coffee and sweat, watching the clip with an officer, my hands trembling. "That's her," I whispered, recognizing her red coat, the same one she wore when she left me alone with Ethan. The officer nodded, her voice low. "We're bringing her in." My mind reeled. Mrs. Cartwright, with her polished smile and distant gaze, had planned to let her son die. The investigation deepened, uncovering more. The gas leak wasn't a fault, but a tampered valve, accessible only from a locked utility room. The candle, a gift from a friend Mrs. Cartwright mentioned weeks ago, was laced with an accelerant, lab tests later confirmed. The disconnected alarms required tools and time, pointing to premeditation. No other staff were scheduled. Mrs. Cartwright had dismissed the cook and gardener days before, citing renovations. I was the only variable, paid cash, no record, meant to be gone by noon. Had I left early, Ethan would have been alone, his nap turning deadly. The thought made my chest tighten, his teddy bear's scorched fur still in my grip, as I sat with him, medics bandaging my ankle under intense, harsh lights. My additions layered the horror. A gardener's warning, shared over coffee last week, about Mrs. Cartwright's late-night calls. His "she's hiding something," now ominous. The study's bookshelves, untouched by flames, held a locked safe I'd noticed cleaning, its key missing that morning. Ethan's nap, insisted on by his mother despite his protests, felt forced, her "he needs rest" echoing in my memory. A neighbor's unanswered call to Mrs. Cartwright, overheard in the crowd, her phone silent, deepened the puzzle. These threads wove a tapestry of intent as the investigation's findings, gas, candle footage, confirmed Ethan's words, pushing me to protect him from a mother who'd left him to burn, and a they still lurking. Setting the stage for a fight to uncover the full truth. The chilling truth behind Ethan's whispered, "They knew I was inside," was coming into focus. Each piece of evidence, a tampered gas valve, a laced candle, a locked front door, pointing to a deliberate attempt to erase a 5-year-old boy from the Cartwrights' world. I was Maya, a 28-year-old maid in Chicago, My days once spent scrubbing their mansion's marble floors, unnoticed by Ethan's mother, Mrs. Cartwright, until I saved her son from a fire that was no accident. Sitting on the lawn, clutching Ethan as sirens wailed and the mansion burned, his words had frozen my heart, hinting at a betrayal involving more than just his mother. The investigation's findings, scratched locks, disconnected alarms, and damning security footage of Mrs. Cartwright's cold exit confirmed the fire was arson. But now Daniel Cartwright, Ethan's father, was returning from Europe, unaware of the horror his wife had planned. His arrival, raw with shock and gratitude, would mark a turning point, deepening my bond with Ethan and setting the stage for a fight to keep him safe from a family fractured by greed and deceit. The police trailer, its air stale with coffee and sweat, was where I watched the backup footage. Mrs. Cartwright leaving at 8:37 a.m., glancing at Ethan's window, locking the door, and saying into her phone, "He'll sleep through anything." Her voice, cold and calculated, wasn't neglect, it was intent. The officer, her notepad scribbling, said, "We're bringing her in." As my hands trembled, Ethan's teddy bear still clutched, its scorched fur rough. The investigation deepened. A gas valve tampered in a locked utility room, a candle laced with accelerant, alarms snipped with precision. Mrs. Cartwright had dismissed other staff, leaving only me, paid cash, no record, meant to be gone. Ethan's nap, forced despite his protests, now seemed a setup. Her "he needs rest," a lie to ensure he'd be asleep. My mind raced, the gardener's warning about her late-night calls echoing, the safe I'd seen in the study, key missing, looming as a clue. Daniel Cartwright, a billionaire tech investor, landed in Chicago 3 days later, his private jet touching down as police briefed him. He'd been in Switzerland, told by his wife Ethan was safe with her mother for repairs. In the police station's viewing room, its fluorescent lights harsh, he watched the footage, his knees buckling, silent tears streaming. "She told me she loved him," he whispered, voice breaking. "She said she was taking care of him. I didn't know." His shock was raw. His tailored suit rumpled, the scent of his cologne faint against the room's antiseptic sting. He demanded to see Ethan, who was under medical observation, his small lungs recovering from smoke. I sat with Ethan in the hospital, the antiseptic smell sharp, his hand gripping mine, teddy bear tucked under his arm. When Daniel arrived, his face ashen, eyes red. The hospital hallway, linoleum gleaming under flickering lights, was where we met. He looked at me, a bandaged black woman in a cheap coat, apron singed, and his voice shook. "Thank you for being braver than all of us." I nodded, holding back tears, the weight of Ethan's trust heavy. "I didn't do it for a reward," I said, voice steady despite my cut stinging. "I did it because he was a little boy." He knelt to Ethan, who clung to me, whispering, "Maya saved me." Daniel's eyes met mine, a silent vow forming but questions burned. Who was they? A lover? A business rival? Someone tied to the Cartwrights' wealth? The police suspected more, noting Mrs. Cartwright's phone records showed calls to an unknown number, untraced, hinting at a partner in her scheme. Mrs. Cartwright was detained, her polished facade crumbling as police questioned her. The station's coffee scent mixing with her perfume's lingering trace. Early findings pointed to the family trust, $28 million that would revert to her if Ethan died accidentally. The motive was greed, but they suggested accomplices, and the police were digging, their radios crackling with updates. Ethan, still shaken, asked for me at the hospital, his small voice breaking. "Don't leave, Maya." I stayed, stroking his hair, the teddy bear's singed fur a reminder of our escape. Daniel, pacing the hall, promised to uncover the truth, his gratitude a bridge to a role I hadn't expected, as Ethan's trust in me grew, anchoring us both in a storm of betrayal. My additions deepened the stakes. A nurse's whisper about Mrs. Cartwright's odd hospital visits, checking Ethan's charts, hinted at prior planning. The safe's missing key, noticed while cleaning, now seemed tied to the trust, its contents unknown. Ethan's drawing, scribbled in the hospital, showed a red car, his mother's, leaving, a child's clue to her guilt. A neighbor's unanswered call to Mrs. Cartwright, overheard on the lawn, resurfaced, her silence damning. These threads wove a tapestry of intent, amplifying the investigation's findings and Daniel's heartbreak, pushing me to protect Ethan not just from flames but from a family's dark secrets, setting the stage for a public reckoning and a fight for his future. The truth behind the fire that nearly killed Ethan was a jagged wound, exposed by his whispered ming. They knew I was inside, and the chilling evidence of his mother's deliberate setup. I was Maya, a 28-year-old maid in Chicago, my days once spent scrubbing the Cartwright's mansion floors, unnoticed until I saved Ethan, a 5-year-old boy with golden hair, from flames meant to erase him. Breaking a window and jumping from the second floor, I'd shielded him, but his words in the investigation's findings, tampered gas valves, laced candles, locked doors, revealed Mrs. Cartwright's intent, tied to a $28 million trust. Daniel, Ethan's father, returned from Europe, his shock raw as he thanked me in the hospital's sterile hallway, but the story was exploding publicly, thrusting us into a spotlight where Ethan's trust in me and the world's judgment collided, pushing me to protect him as the betrayal's full scope unfolded. The case went public fast, headlines screaming, "Maid saves millionaire's son from blaze." Child's words reveal chilling truth behind family fire. Heroic worker exposes betrayal. Reporters swarmed the hospital, their camera flashes harsh in the antiseptic-scented halls, shouting questions as I held Ethan's hand, his teddy bear singed but clutched tight. Social media buzzed. My name, Maya, trending alongside Ethan's, clips of the burning mansion looping on news channels, the red convertible's pristine gleam a stark contrast. The police trailer's footage, leaked somehow, showed Mrs. Cartwright locking the door, her cold, "he'll sleep through anything," fueling outrage. Commentators speculated on they, a lover, a business partner, someone tied to the trust, while Ethan's face, soot-streaked in photos, broke hearts online. I shielded him from the chaos, his small voice asking, "Why is everyone mad?" As I read him stories in his hospital bed, the city's hum outside a distant roar. Mrs. Cartwright was arrested, charged with arson, insurance fraud, and attempted murder, her polished facade crumbling in handcuffs at the station, the coffee scent mixing with her perfume's fading trace, the $28 million trust reverting to her if Ethan died accidentally was the motive, but police dug deeper, her phone records showing calls to an untraced number, hinting at an accomplice. A second bombshell dropped. The trust's fine print showed Daniel's recent changes, limiting her access unless Ethan was gone, a decision he'd made in Switzerland, unaware of her plans. The news painted her as a monster, but they remained a shadow, investigators probing her contacts, a financial advisor, a mysterious friend who'd gifted the candle. Each revelation, crackling through police radios, tightened my resolve to keep Ethan safe, his trust in me a lifeline amid the storm. Daniel, still reeling, faced the press outside the hospital, his suit rumpled, voice shaking. "I failed my son, but Maya didn't. She's his hero." His public apology, aired live, praised my courage, promising to uncover the full truth, the city's skyline glinting behind him. Online, reactions split. Some hailed me as a saint, others questioned why a maid was so central, digging into my lack of a contract, my cash payments. "Who is Maya?" Posts speculated wildly. Undercover agent, gold digger. While my co-workers' warning about Mrs. Cartwright's silence resurfaced, her "something's off" now a chilling prophecy. Ethan, unaware of the noise, drew pictures in his bed, his scribbled red car, his mother's, a silent clue, his small hand gripping mine as I promised, "I'm here, baby." The media frenzy grew, my face on every screen, the safe's missing key from the study haunting me, its contents a potential link to they. The hospital became a fortress. Security posted to keep reporters out, their shouts muffled through the linoleum halls. Child services visited, discussing Ethan's placement, their clipboards scratching as I sat by his side, his teddy bear a singed anchor. Ethan refused to leave me, his voice breaking. "Maya stays," his trust a weight I carried gladly. Daniel, pacing the hall, met with lawyers, his cologne faint against the antiseptic sting, planning to challenge any move to separate us. The public's roar. Petitions for Maya to adopt Ethan, hashtags like Hero Maid, pressured officials, but I had no legal standing, my cash work leaving me invisible to the system. Yet Ethan's drawings, his whispered, "Don't go," and Daniel's vow to fight for me kept me grounded. The city's pulse outside a reminder of the battle ahead. My additions deepened the chaos. A nurse's overheard call about Mrs. Cartwright's odd hospital visits, checking Ethan's charts weeks ago, hinted at deeper planning. The gardener, questioned by police, recalled a stranger near the utility room days before, his looked out of place fueling theories of they. Ethan's drawing included a stick figure by the car, labeled "Man," a child's clue to an accomplice. A reporter's leaked email, mentioning the trust's Swiss amendments, suggested Daniel's changes sparked the plot. These threads wove a tapestry of betrayal, amplifying the public frenzy and Daniel's gratitude, pushing me to shield Ethan from a world judging us and a mystery still unfolding, setting the stage for a courtroom fight to keep him by my side. The firestorm of public attention following Ethan's rescue and the chilling revelation of his mother's arson plot had thrust me into a spotlight I never sought. My name, Maya, plastered across Chicago headlines as the maid who saved a millionaire's son. At 28, my day,